We know some of you have been listening to us for a long while. And we know that you are enjoying being out on this leading edge of thought. We know that you are. The law of attraction is a vibrational manager that brings thoughts that are like it together. So when you start with a general thought and you keep it active within yourself for a while, or even come back to it frequently, what happens is that general thought begins to become more specific by the power of law of attraction. It just has to. We've said to you that genius is really just attention to a subject. Anyone who focuses upon anything will attract more and more and more and more and more information around it, because law of attraction insists that it be that way. And the only thing that ever keeps something from evolving and expanding in a way that is really pleasing to you is that you think about it and you think about its opposite. I want it, but where is it? I want it, but where is it? I want to understand this, but I don't. I want to feel good, but I feel bad. In other words, when you think opposing thoughts right up on top of the thought, then you don't allow the progression. You just hold yourself in this place. You can't stand still, but you can move toward and away, 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 toward and away. So as you decide that you're going to begin focusing, and you're going to begin focusing deliberately, it will go really easily for you if you decide that you will start generally. And we want to say to you in an emphatic way, we may not have ever said this to you at all before, and so to start emphatically means it really matters. We're going to start emphatically by saying to you that if you will approach your life experience, your point of attraction, in terms of emotions, you are starting in a general place, and that will serve you really, really well. Because as you start in a general place of wanting to feel good, and you focus there by remembering things that did feel good, by reaching for thoughts that felt good to you, by really picking around the buffet of your world, the buffet of your family, the buffet of your husband, the buffet of your children, the buffet of your business associates, the buffet of strangers. And so as you are poking around the buffet that is surrounding you, and you are deliberately looking for things that you think will feel good when you come upon them, what will begin to happen, you're already doing it much of the time, but now you'll be doing it deliberately, you will begin to establish an emotional grid or an emotional vibrational foundation that will immediately begin to fill in with more detail. And the more you focus with a determination to feel good as you're focusing, the more the details that fill in around it will feel good too. Until, before you know it, these things will happen to you. First, you'll be having way more fun and you'll be feeling way better more of the time. And next, you will begin to accept the rightness of your place in the universe. You'll just feel adored. You will begin to feel the worthiness that you have been longing for in such amplified fashion, because when you establish a grid that feels good, only things that feel good to you can come to you. And you'll start using words, if you don't know about what we teach, you would use words like lucky. Oh, that was really lucky. That was really a really lucky thing that happened. And of course, there is never any luck involved unless you want to call luck law of attraction's response to the vibration that you're offering and subsequent bringing to you the things that match it. We'll go with you if you'll go there with us. In other words, that's as lucky as it gets. I am fortunate enough to know about law of attraction, and fortunate enough to be wise enough to be aware of how I feel, and fortunate enough to really care about how I feel, and fortunate enough to be willing to pay attention to the way I feel, that I will focus myself into an emotional general grid of happy thoughts, and in doing so, other things that match that will come to me with such detail and such specifics that I will then understand the power of the universe that I have held in my hands every day that I've been here, that now I am applying with deliberate intent. It is so much fun to be in this knowing place where the universe is responding to you and you know why. You know why. It's because of how I'm feeling. It's because of how I'm focusing. It's because of the vibration that I'm offering. So now as you move through your day, this is all happening whether you know that it is or not. So you have two choices. You can do it deliberately or you can do it by default. And the way you do it by default is by observing what's going on around you and just responding to what you're observing. We call it sloppy thinking or sloppy observing, or the squeaky wheel syndrome, where the squeaky wheel gets your attention and it never feels good when you look there. And that squeaky wheel stuff will cause you to establish a vibrational grid that will fill in with louder squeaks until you become genius oil canners. Humans often measure their talents by how good they are at putting out brush fires. And we want to zap you with the desire to work with the laws of the universe instead of against them. Work with them. As you understand that your emotions are your friend and that there is so much good that wants you. So we've been telling this story in a lot of different ways, haven't we? We say, you are much more than you know in these physical bodies, and that non-physical part of you remains non-physical even though a part of you is focused here. And while you're focused here, you're sifting and sorting and knowing what you don't want and knowing what you do want. And every time you define something that you do want, even in the throes of knowing dramatically what you don't want. In other words, you never know more clearly what you do want than when you're living what you don't want. So as you're exploring that buffet and knowing what you don't want, you're sending out a powerful rocket of desire that speaks with great specifics about what you do want. And that rocket of desire is known and held by the larger part of you as a vibrational touchstone, as a place marker, as a placeholder, as a space holder. In other words, once you expand, the source within you takes the expansion and holds it steadily for you and beams it back as a signal that you can feel in every moment. So once you've asked for something, vibrationally speaking, it is done because the larger part of you is already living it. And that's why when you focus in opposition to it, you feel lonely, fearful, worried, because you are in that moment of your physical discomfort, depriving yourself of the vibrational alignment with something that you ask for, and more important, something that you largely are. So when you start saying, oh, these bumps along the road that I'm feeling matter, when I feel negative emotion, it matters. It's an indication to me that I could focus myself into alignment if I cared about alignment. Do you? Do you care about alignment? Do you care about your clarity? Do you care about this moment in time being all that it can be? There have been many teachers that have been talking about being present in the moment. It was the thing that Jerry was most excited about as he was reading the Seth material. Two things. You create your own reality. He said, huh? How can that be? I create my own reality I want to know more about. So we spent many, many years talking about that. Your point of power is in the present, Seth said. Jerry wanted to know about that. What does that mean? And what it means is, here you are, right here and now, with the ability to focus. And when you do, one of two things is happening, and not much gray area in between, really. In your focus, you're focusing in a way that includes the whole of you, or you're focusing in a way that excludes. I thought you said that there was no exclusion in this universe. I thought you said that it was all about attraction. Well, it's all about choosing a frequency that will bring something to you. In other words, if you are including who you are, then you are leaving out who you aren't. And if you are including who you aren't, then you're leaving out who you are. In other words, you get to be the vibrational chooser of what you set as your vibrational tone, which then law of attraction responds to, which equals the life experience of this moment in time. You got that, didn't you? It's really fun talking with you because we can feel that even though we are out here in a new leading edge place, that there's enough that you're hearing that is familiar to you, that even though we're reaching into these new places, you're coming right along easily because you're tuned into who you are. And when you're tuned into who you are, all of this makes perfect logical sense, doesn't it? You know that you are the creator of your own reality. You know that you are. You know that you are. Do you believe that you are a good focuser? Do you want to be a good focuser? So which of those thoughts was a better thought for you to focus on? I am, or I would like to be. Now, if you already are, and you know it, then I am is the better thought for you. It's specific enough Say that in a different way. It's specific, but you are aligned enough to keep up with it. But if it was more specific than you're ready for, what does it do to you? It enhances doubt rather than belief, doesn't it? So this is the process of bringing yourself into alignment with who you are. You're reaching for the thought of greatest alignment to which you have access right now. Another way of saying that is you want to find the best feeling thought that you can find and practice it long enough that you learn the steady vibrational grid of that. So let's say you start with something really general and it feels pretty good because you've stayed in a nice, safe, easy to feel good place. And you focus there, and then law of attraction brings you more things like it until something comes that challenges that belief. What happens to your emotion when something comes that challenges your belief? You feel those bumps on the side of the road. You feel some wariness. You feel some concern. You feel some doubt. You feel some guilt. You feel some self-criticism. You feel something that doesn't feel so good. So then what do you do? What would be the wise thing to do? Do you plow ahead? Do you dig in? Do you condemn your stupidity and make it happen anyway? Do you wrestle it to the ground? Do you try to make them behave even though they clearly have no intention of doing so? Or do you step back into the place as quickly as you can that felt good right before it didn't feel good? Doesn't that seem logical? Now, you could change the subject altogether and you'd feel a little better, but you have to remember you're leaving your grid on every subject right where you last left it. So every time you reintroduce the subject and you take it to a little better feeling place, what you do is you open to more specifics on that subject. And the more specifics you open to, the more powerful your creation. But even more than that, the more specifics you open to while you're in alignment, the more powerful and worthy and loved and blessed you feel. And friends, we've been watching you for a long time, and that's what you're going for. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for it in all the wrong places. You're looking for it with other people. You want their approval. If I can just get this person to appreciate and approve of me, then I can just observe their appreciation and I'm good. As long as they're standing right there approving, but they could go away. And then what? Then you'll spend the next 10 or 15 years condemning them for leaving. Or you could realize that the reason you feel good, the only reason you feel good, the always reason you feel good is because you've found some thought that is in alignment with the greater part of who you are. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. There is nothing that is off limits. There will be a perfect unfolding. You will see how it goes. There are many of you here with things on your mind and people all around the world who are listening in, and not just listening in, but participating vibrationally. You're going to see too that much that you've been thinking about is conversation of this gathering. And for us, we want to say to you that there is no place that we would rather be than present in your moment with all the specifics that you've stirred up that have led to culminations that we have realized and are holding the place marker of, watching you come into alignment with your creation. That rings our bells. So what do you want to talk about? You've come with stuff. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can say. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain joyously in the Vortex.